After decades of conquest, Julius Caesar returned to Rome in 49 BC by crossing the Rubicon River. He defied the Senate and ignited a brutal civil war that would ultimately decide the fate of the Roman Republic. Over the next 4 years, 5 decisive battles would put his legendary military genius, his unyielding courage, and his sheer resolve to the ultimate test. These were the battles of Pharsalus, Alexandria, Zela, and Munda. This is the story of how one man fought his way across the known world to achieve absolute power. The first great clash came at Pharsalus, in Greece. In 48 BC here, Caesar faced his former ally, now his bitter rival, Pompey the Great. On paper, Caesar's situation was dire. He was critically outnumbered, his legions exhausted and far from their supply lines. Pompey, confident in his superior numbers, planned to overwhelm Caesar's right flank with a massive cavalry charge. But Caesar was a master of anticipating his enemy's moves. He had hidden a fourth line of his most experienced infantry behind his main force as Pompey's cavalry thundered forward. Confident of victory, Caesar gave the signal. The hidden reserves sprang their trap, not throwing their javelins as was standard, but using them as stabbing spears aimed at the faces of the riders and their horses. The elite cavalry, unused to such brutal, close-quarters combat, panicked and fled the field in disarray. Their retreat exposed Pompey's left flank, which quickly collapsed. The ensuing rout was catastrophic for Pompey's forces. This victory was more than just military. It shattered Pompey's authority and cemented Caesar's dominance over the heart of the Republic. His rival defeated, Caesar pursued Pompey to Egypt, only to find him assassinated. Caesar then found himself embroiled in a dynastic struggle between the young Queen Cleopatra and her brother, Ptolemy XIII. What began as a political intervention quickly turned into a desperate fight for survival. Caesar, with only a small contingent of troops, became trapped in the city of Alexandria. For months, he was besieged, outnumbered, and cut off. He fought a relentless urban war, using surprise attacks, night raids, and strategic control of the harbor to keep his enemies off balance. He famously set fire to the enemy fleet, a blaze that tragically spread to the great library of Alexandria. Finally, with the arrival of reinforcements, Caesar broke the siege. In the decisive battle of the Nile, Ptolemy's forces were crushed, and the young king himself drowned trying to escape. Caesar secured Alexandria, placed Cleopatra firmly on the throne of Egypt, and in doing so, forged a powerful political and personal alliance that would echo through history. With Egypt secured, Caesar couldn't rest. News arrived of a new threat in Asia Minor. Pharsalus II, son of Rome's old enemy Mithridates, was attempting to reclaim his father's lost kingdom. Caesar marched his legions with incredible speed to confront this new challenge. At the Battle of Zela in 47 BC, Caesar's tactical brilliance was on full display. He chose his ground carefully, positioning his army on a hill overlooking the enemy. When Pharsalus rashly ordered his army to charge uphill, Caesar's veterans stood firm and then counterattacked with a devastating force. The battle was over in just a few hours, a total and overwhelming victory for Rome. The speed and decisiveness of the campaign inspired Caesar's most famous report to the Senate, a message that perfectly captured his style. Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. But the war was far from over. The remnants of the opposition, led by staunch Republicans like Metella Scipio and Cato the Younger, had regrouped in North Africa. They had amassed a huge army, and with it, a terrifying secret weapon. Dozens of war elephants from the allied kingdom of Numidia. At the Battle of Thapsus, in 46 BC, Caesar faced a wall of charging beasts. He had trained his men specifically for this moment. His archers and slingers targeted the elephants' eyes, while specialized light infantry darted in to hamstring the animals. Caesar's hardened veterans from the 5th Legion used their long spears to create an unbreakable wall of steel. The plan worked perfectly. The wounded and panicked elephants turned and stampeded back through their own lines, sowing chaos and destruction. As Scipio's army collapsed, Caesar ordered a relentless pursuit. The victory at Thapsus was bloody and total, crushing the last major pocket of resistance in Africa and leading to the tragic suicide of Cato in Utica, a man who would rather die than live under Caesar's rule. The final, desperate stand against Caesar took place in Hispania, modern-day Spain. The last of the opposition had rallied under Pompey's two sons, Gnaeus and Sextus. The Battle of Munda in 45 BC was the bloodiest and most difficult battle of Caesar's entire career. The enemy held a strong defensive position on a steep hill, forcing Caesar's legions to attack uphill against a determined and desperate foe. 4 hours. The battle hung in the balance. The fighting was so intense, and the line so close to breaking that Caesar himself, seeing his men falter, grabbed a shield and sword and plunged into the front line. He reportedly told his men he was fighting his last battle, either for victory or for his life. Inspired by their general's incredible bravery, his legions rallied. A timely cavalry charge against the enemy's flank finally turned the tide. The collapse of one wing caused a domino effect, and the enemy lines disintegrated into a desperate, bloody rout. Munda was the final victory. The war was over. By 45 BC, Julius Caesar had fought his way from Greece to Africa and Spain. He had defeated all his rivals, vanquished every army that stood against him, and returned to Rome not as a general, but as its undisputed master. These 5 battles, Pharsalus, Alexandria, Zela, Thapsus, and Munda war, not just military victories. They were the brutal, bloody steps that marked the end of the Roman Republic and the rise of one of history's most powerful figures. They showcase a story of unmatched strategy, incredible courage, and decisive leadership that transformed a brilliant general into the master of Rome, paving the way for the age of emperors. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more journeys into history.